Interface Video, in cooperation with Fairfield Federal, presents Fairfield Today. Brought to you by Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan, Fairfield Medical Center, Fair Hope Hospice and Palliative Care, the Frankie Smith Funeral Home, Fairfield County Adam H., Dagger Law, and the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities.
Hello friends, and welcome to Fairfield Today. Paul Jasson with you. Thank you for joining us as we begin 2023. Happy New Year. Hope you had a great Christmas and a New Year's. We're into 2023 and a nice cold time here in Lancaster and Fairfield County as we're downtown. Of course, the gazebo and all that greatness that was the ball drop and everything, kind of right behind us, right downtown. So now we're officially moving forward, and we hope 2023 will be a great year for you and yours. We're going to start the first segment of the show with an old friend we're going to have back, Amy Carpenter. Amy,
Yes.
How are you?
I'm doing good, Paul. Thank you
Good.
for having us.
Of course, you may recognize Amy. Maybe you recognize her from having her on the show here with me.
Yes.
But, of course, you have your own show,
Yes.
Around Town with Amy.
Yes.
How's that going?
It's going really well.
Good.
We started it a year ago.
It's been a year.
Yeah, this has been my high school dream. So when in high school, I had to decide, do I want to be a teacher or do I want to do something with like news or being like a news anchor, something like that? And I was like, oh, that's more stressful. I'm going to be a teacher. But I didn't realize teaching is stressful too, so.
In its own way, it is.
In its own way, exactly.
So it's been a year. Well, and we'll get to why we want to talk about the calendar and all that. But so you've been a year. If you had a fun time
Oh my
for
gosh,
the year.
It has been so wonderful. The whole basis of the show is to interview different people in the community and to have them share all the great things that they're doing in
Sure.
Fairfield County
Sure.
and the surrounding areas. And there's some wonderful people in our county.
Oh, we're very
doing
fortunate.
some great things.
Yeah, we're very fortunate. Anyway, Around Town with Amy. It's on where you watch this. It's on YouTube, on the CLN. It's Interface has. You can find it lots of different places. And what is it? Once a month?
It's twice a month.
Twice a month.
Yeah.
Twice a month. You just did one on veterans.
Yes,
That's your
Veterans
most
Day.
recent one.
Correct.
Good. Thank you for doing that.
Thank
we
you so
enjoy
much. Thank you for
anything
being a
about
veteran.
That's all right. We enjoy anything about the veterans. So really, I think Shane's got a couple shots of your calendar here, so
Yeah.
we won't have to hold it up. But Around Town with Dogs, very
Yes.
cool name.
Yes.
This is your 2023 calendars.
Yeah.
How many is this now?
So I actually had to write it down so I could remember, Paul, because we've been doing it so long. So our first one was in 2016.
Really?
Yeah, so that is the first calendar that I did with just pictures of Hank on Channel 4. I
Yeah.
used to send Bob
Right.
Nunley pictures.
Bob Nunley, I remember that.
Pictures every so many
And they
mornings.
would show them all the time.
Yep, and he would show them, and Hank was on the news 33 times.
Is
Have you ever
that
heard of a
right?
dog that was on the news that many times?
Not unless it was Lassie.
Right? Or
That's you.
Benji?
Or Benji. Those are the only
Yeah.
ones. So Hank had a following.
Exactly, he did.
Yeah. So refresh us a little bit and I think most people understand what the Hank references and the sarcoma thing. But Hank was your guy for a few years there.
Yeah.
Prior to that.
Yeah, he was the love of my life. He's the best thing in the world. So he was actually my sister's dog, and he was born in 2006. She brought him home, and he fit in the palm of her hand. I remember meeting him at Easter that year. He was all head and paws in his little body. And
You knew
fit
it was
in the-
going to get big.
Oh yeah, and fit in the palm of her hand. Bull Mastiff Rottweiler. He ended up 106 pounds.
Wow.
Big baby, would like jump up on your lap. Thought he was a lap dog. And I was his aunt. He lived with my mom and dad, and of course my sister, was his mom. And I was the one that would always, like on holidays, sneak him in the house, and buy him the Christmas presents and presents of the holidays, and doing birthday parties every year. I'm the one that loved him the most. And so I've told you the story before that in 2012 I stopped there to walk with him one day at my parents' house, and that was always a treat. Whenever I'd get my stuff done at school and leave early, I was like, I'm going to go stop and walk with Hank, and that'll be my treat for today if I get my work done. And we were walking, and he lifted his leg to go to the bathroom, and nothing came out. And I remember thinking, that's weird, but I just had him at the vet. They had given him a clean bill of health, and so I dismissed it because I thought, well, the vet said he was fine, and I just thought, well, maybe he was marking his territory, something like that. As we went on, he did go to the bathroom, so then it really, was like, probably nothing to worry about because he did go. And I didn't live with him, so I really didn't see any other signs. And that was in November of 2012. And then on February 1st, 2013, my mom called, and I was, a teacher at the time, and I'm a full-time teacher at the time and still a teacher. And my mom said, Amy, we're taking Hank to the vet. He's not eating his treats, and I'm worried. And then that, of course, concerned me because, he was just an outside dog, guarded the house, and so we thought he just had like a UTI, something like that, bladder infection. And
Sure.
The vet came out and said he had a grapefruit-sized sarcoma. And that was devastating.
Shocking.
Very, very shocking because, I loved him more than anyone. And I didn't know dogs got cancer. I'd never heard of that. I'm an educated woman.
I guess I'd heard of cats having that, but not so much dogs.
Yeah, and I guess I was ignorant, because I didn't know of either. I'd never heard of that. Just always, of course, knew people got cancer, but I never really was aware animals did. And so when I started doing the research, I found that 1 in 3 dogs get cancer, 50% pass away. And then I was like, what is this sarcoma? I've never heard of it. And it's a rare cancer of the connective tissue. And dogs get it 5 times more than people, and the second most common to children. So it's our most vulnerable that usually get it. And so a lot of people have never heard of it. And so, we did everything we could do. We, did radiation, chemo, surgery, and took him to High Estate. They did a wonderful job with him. And they actually called him Hank the Miracle Dog, the doctors did, because they couldn't believe he was living with a grapefruit-sized sarcoma. And they removed it in almost exactly a year to the day. It was like a year and 1 day later. They were doing Colorado was doing his third surgery because it came back in April. And then when High State couldn't do it anymore, I ended up driving him to Colorado. We did a 20-and-a-half-hour drive to Colorado, and they did his third surgery. And they said that they got 99%, and then that was in July, and he passed away in November.
So that sort of was the basis for you doing your calendars, and each year, and we'll talk about your new one right here, but your calendars always feature, I guess, generally a government kind of person, a safety, a first responder. You kind of tended to go that way?
Yeah, they're the love of my life. Like, besides Hank, they do so much for our community, just like veterans. I mean, you guys sacrifice so much, and I don't think the public is really aware what all they do, not only putting their life on the line, but how much, you guys all sacrifice. It's a hard job. It's very, trauma-inducing and stressful, and so they're very special to me. And so after I did Hank's initial calendar, which was him with all his pictures all dressed up in costumes, I thought, well, what could I do for the first calendar after him? And that was around the time in the news that there was different officer-related shootings with dogs. And I would always take Hank to Fairfield Federal, where we're filming today. And we would always go to the Fair Avenue branch. And a lot of my friends over there were officers. And I would come in to do my banking with Hank, and they would kind of babysit him so I could do my banking, and they'd play with him. And Deputy Reed, his favorite officer, would always be there. And that kind of gave me the idea, well, why don't we partner with them for our first year?
So the first one was the Sheriff's Department.
Yeah. And then from then it just grew. And like we did, I had to write them down so I could remember. We're getting so many of them, which is great.
You got a lot.
So we did the Sheriff's Office in 2017. And then in 2018, we did the Fire Department, Police Department in 2019. 2020, we did Fairfield Medical Center. And then 2021, we did the Lancaster City Schools. And then last year, again, we revisited the Sheriff's Office because I had some new friends and some old friends that said, hey, you never put me in that first calendar. So, we need to do another one. And I'm already having people say we need to do a third one now because, by the way, you didn't get me in this calendar. I'm taking notes.
It's such a great pairing with the animals with the safety forces, too. So here we are at 2023. The new one is Around Town with Dogs. And what are we featuring in that?
Yeah. So, again, based on my show this year, I thought, well, that kind of gave me the idea, well, why don't we do something along with that to showcase my new show? And then also, for people that have a new dog, I don't think that they always know where they can go in town with their dog.
Yeah.
Because I know when I became Hank's mom, so after he was diagnosed with cancer, my sister said that I could have him. He could be my pet because I loved him more than anyone, and that was like the best gift ever. Even though I only got to be his mom for 20 and a half months. It was the best 20 and a half months of my life. But then I was like a new mom, a new dog mom, and I was like, okay, now where do I go with him in town?
Sure.
Because I was like, do places let him come in? Like, I didn't know, and he had separation anxiety. So every time I'd get in the car, he'd jump in, and I'm like, okay, where are we supposed to go?
Yep.
And so I started investigating, well, where could I take him? And there were a lot of places in town that would let him come in. And I thought, well, there's probably some people that don't know what they can do with their dogs. And so why don't we showcase that in the calendar? And all the businesses in town that we would go to and that we love, and they would do so much for us. I thought, why not showcase them? Because a lot of them do our ads in our calendar anyways.
Guest is Amy Carpenter. Amy, of course, has her own show Around Town with Amy, and that is sort of the play on words that the new calendar Around Town with Dogs. And so it's pictures of Hank and other puppies.
Yes, yeah, and so it's the different businesses in town that let you bring
allow
your
that.
dog, and then their dogs.
Are you finding that's more and more acceptable? Because there was a time when none, and then it sort of became, well, if you have one, I forget what they call them, one of these helper dogs or an
service
assist dog like Mac Gray used to have, or people in town had. You, of course, could bring them. But now it's much more acceptable. Now, we were talking before we went on.
Yeah.
You go through a drive-through now. Now they give you treats. They'll give you different things for puppies. And so
exactly.
It's coming
like
around.
Common knowledge or commonplace now, which is wonderful.
Well, that is great. And so 2023, it's around town. And so what you're finding is more and more places, this is okay to do this.
Right.
Yeah.
More dog friendly, which is wonderful. Especially those people like me that are dog people and they love animals. You know, you don't want to leave your dog at home.
Sure.
Like, they're part of the family, so you don't leave your family at home when you want to go somewhere. So why would you want to leave your dog?
I've heard him say that. Of course, we're in a very cold snap right now, and I've for years and years always ran outside, and I would always see in terrible conditions. I'd see dogs outside, and I've seen little clips of things. He said, go out and sit with your dog a while and think if you think it's bad out there for him, what do you think? And I hope people understand that you need to bring them in.
Yeah.
Did your sister and they brought him in the winter?
So he was an outdoor dog, and that was always my complaint as his aunt. Like, he's a dog, he gets cold, he needs to come in, and I'd buy him gifts.
I don't know how your mom and your sister handled that.
I know, because
here's Amy turning on it.
Yes, exactly. And I would take him to Pet Supplies Plus, which was one of the businesses in the calendar, because they said, well, if you want to, like my mom would say, if you want to sneak him in, you better go make sure he has a bath and make sure he's clean. So I would take him to Pet Supplies Plus, get his bath, sneak him in.
It's Around Town with Dogs, Amy Carpenter's 2023 calendar. Again, we'll put the picture up there and you can see it. Where is this? Where can you get this?
So you can get it on our website, Hank Kabel Sarcoma Foundation.com. You can also get it at Hair of the Dog and Downtown Fruit Passion. They're selling them for us this year.
Well, it's another great calendar. So fun to see just thought and everything that went into this and all the people that go along with this. It's very, very heartwarming to see that in 2023. Congratulations. Best of luck on the show.
Thank you so much.
2023 is a great year.
Yes.
Thank
you.
For
you too.
Amy Carpenter with us, and All Around Town with Dogs is the calendar. We'll be back in just a moment.
Fairfield Federal. When it comes to our customers and our community, we go above and beyond to help. Our people make the difference.
It's a hometown bank. It's located here in Fairfield County. Branches are convenient. They're located here in Pickerington, where my office is. I'm in Lancaster a lot, and they have plenty of branches there. And I much prefer dealing with the hometown banks rather than the larger nationwide chain banks.
So far, everybody's been so personable, and for us to bank with the local bank, and we bank in Lancaster, it's been so wonderful because we'll call somebody, Steve will call somebody, and they'll get back to us right away, or they'll say, okay, we're going to make a decision in the basement tomorrow, and they'll get back to us, rather than calling a bigger bank where we had to wait, and we didn't always get the same person the next time we called for a investment banking opportunity, or getting something appraised, any of those kind of things.
Everybody is very customer friendly. A lot of times I'll bring my dog Bear with me, and the staff love him here, and of course he loves them and the treats that he gets. So it's just a nice kind of a family-type environment.
Personal or business banking, whatever you need, we take it seriously because we know you do. Stop by today at any of our 3 locations and see why the difference is clear. Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan specializes in banking that revolves around you.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
I want a doctor who listens to me.
From primary care to specialty medicine, we put your needs first by treating you like a person, not a number. Our primary care team will help you identify your healthcare needs and set goals for success, regardless of where you are in your wellness journey. We care for patients of all ages, with offices that are close to you. Whatever you're searching for, you can find it at Fairfield Medical Center.
When I volunteer, when I come over here, the first thing I think about is my dad. But then also think about all the people that helped us when we were here.
Something brings me here, and I feel that it's my dad's spirit. He wants us here. He wants us to give back because of what I did for him. And I think that's helped me with a lot of my grief.
The support of the people here and the volunteers, that makes it a great place.
The Frankie Smith Funeral Home and Crematory in Lancaster and the Johnson Smith Funeral Home in Baltimore have a long and wonderful history of serving our community. Feel free to give us a call at 740-653-0652. Stop in and see us at either of our 2 locations, 405 North Columbus Street in Lancaster and 207 South Main Street in Baltimore. Respect for tradition, regard for change.
Hi, I'm Sheriff Alex Lape. In my 30-year law enforcement career, I have seen many different trends in illicit drug trade and substance use disorders. Fentanyl is the deadliest drug that I have ever encountered. Very minuscule amounts can be fatal. Fentanyl is present in most mainstream illicit drugs. Drug cartels are now pressing fentanyl into forms that appear to be common candies. Ingesting any of these fake candies or pills can have fatal overdose effects. This ongoing drug epidemic requires a balanced approach. We must focus our attentions and resources on treatment and education in conjunction with enforcement efforts that hold those who traffic in dangerous drugs accountable. For your sake and the sake of your family, do not take any medications that are not issued through prescriptions by your pharmacy. Thank you.
This message is brought to you by the Fairfield County Adam H. Board.
You walked down the aisle and promised happily ever after. Sometimes happily ever after means ending a relationship. We know the conversations are not easy. Deciding what's best for you, your children, and your next steps takes work and communication. At Dagger Law, we know there are no monsters in a divorce, only people trying to find their way. Local, trusted, experienced. Dagger Law.
Welcome back to Fairfield Today. Thank Amy Carpenter for coming on, and hope you get a chance to see and get one of her calendars. They're very nice. Around Town with Dogs for 2020-23. Going to change dramatically going from that to taxes, if you could make that leap, and we will with Tim Oatney, our favorite accountant, back with us. Tim, Happy New Year. Hope you had a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year into 2023.
Absolutely.
We'll talk a lot about things that went on this past year and things that tax-wise go into 2023, but when you look at 2022 with kind of the weird things that are going on in the world, from a tax standpoint, pretty much the same year in, year out, or did it change dramatically last year?
Well, they changed it for 22, and you'll see the changes back in 23. They go back to 19.
Oh, really?
Pre-pandemic.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what you're going to see.
So here we are now to 2023, and of course we're going to be talking about things that you still can do to help your tax situation as we move into 2023. But the big thing that everybody is talking about now, and I don't know, I didn't talk to you about this, so I don't know how well versed you are on it, but how much did you tell all your clients to invest in crypto?
None.
I'm shocked over that, Tim. I'm shocked over that. I mean, I don't know of anybody that understands crypto. I certainly don't.
Well,
and I know a lot of people, obviously a lot of people that said they do, did not understand it. You don't get in the mess like these guys are in if you understand it.
Right.
But that sounds like it's a good thing to stay out of.
Well, but we're forced into it, at least from the reporting standpoint.
Yeah.
Because
you have clients that are involved in that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So we have to know how to report it. And even in 24, now this is a year from now, but in 24, the IRS is making those crypto people even make their reports better.
Yeah.
So
they're getting more of a handle on this.
Because they want to find that unfound money.
Yes. Yeah. And that's what it's always about.
And that's what it's about.
That's what it's about. So interesting. But anyway, I thought I got to tell Tim about this. We got to talk crypto because I think I know where he would fall on this, and we were right about that. So, what are some of the key things now as we wrapped up 2022 into 2023? You can still make a lot of things that are important for your tax situation. Where are we in 2023?
Well, in 2023, one of the first things that a lot of people, well, I don't know what a lot is, but people are going to see that they've never seen before, is they're going to get a form called a 1099-K.
K.
Okay, it's a K. Now, what is this? A 1099-K is for people, okay, they're selling on eBay, or they've got a business account where they're taking electronic receipts.
Yes.
In other words, credit cards and this over the internet, and PayPal, those types of things. And if they get over $600, they're going to have to they're going to get a 1099-K. So some people have been doing this kind of, okay, they knew the law was $200,000 before. And so they could sell a lot of things and never report it. Well, that's been changed. $600.
Really?
Now, what that's going to do, though, and this is a question we have because nobody knows the answer yet, but how about Vimo and all these others where you send money to your
right.
to a kid or somebody else, and possibly if you didn't answer the questions right when you did that, because apparently there's a box that says, hey, this is personal, not business, then you're going to get a 1099-K. Well, IRS's computer is going to match that up if you don't report it. That's an issue.
So that's why it's important. If you're involved in this, you better cross all your T's and dot your I's.
And you better. So
they're looking for that, you think?
Yeah. Oh, they will be, because the computer will be fine-tuned to pick that up if you don't report it. So that's something brand new this year, enhanced, I guess. Brand new this year.
$600.
$600. That's not much, but that's always been the key number for 1099s.
Yes.
Is $600. So if you're self-employed, you get a 1099 for $600. You got to report it. Well, now they've gone down to all the electronic stuff.
Sure.
That's what they're doing.
So what if maybe you aren't as maybe you're not their accountant, and maybe you're doing this on your own, and you're not as up to date on all this stuff as you tell us you are, and obviously you are. What if they make a mistake on this and they turn something in incorrectly? You think the IRS will be tuned into that?
Most probably.
Yep.
And it'll take them anywhere from 6 months to a year, and they'll get what we call CP 2000, which is a letter saying, hey, we think you made a mistake. And then they got to respond. Okay. So we'll see how this goes. This is the first time for this one, so
that's interesting.
We in the accounting world just don't know how it's going to play.
And the reasoning behind that was there was just a lot of transactions that were occurring well below that threshold originally.
Yeah.
And it wasn't getting reported.
Yeah. So again, IRS is looking for underground money.
Yeah. And they'll find it.
Oh, they'll find it.
What other changes
for
2023?
As I said earlier, some of the things that we saw in 2022 that were reverting back. So, and things I know that personally, I just know they're not going to affect you because you don't have children, so you don't have child care, and you don't have children, so you don't get the child tax credit.
Sure.
But last year we got $3,000 for child tax credit. It's back to $2,000. Last year for child care, we could get up to like $8,000. Now it's back to $2,100 or $1,500. So they've cut way back. So they did
Were those
a couple
changes
things.
For COVID situations?
It was for COVID pandemic type situation, and now we're back to like 2019 pre-COVID. So people, if they got used to that new money, it's not going to happen this year. So we may see some people on that scale owe taxes at the end because they got used to the extra money. Okay, we'll see.
How about a big thing this time of year people always thinking about are charitable donations. Any changes, anything that sticks out about that?
Well, in the last 2 years, because of COVID, you had the opportunity to report above and beyond even your standard deduction. You could report $300 or $600 of charitable donations, and you still got your standard deduction. Now that's gone, so now you have to itemize. And again, a lot of people, because of the changes, cannot itemize anymore. So the only thing, and of course now it's too late to do anything for 22 because now we're in 23. But the one thing they can do, if they're over 70 and a half and have an IRA, they can donate from their IRA straight to a church or a nonprofit organization. And so right now is a great time, if they're out here and they are of that age and have an IRA and are charitable minded, to go do it for 23. And then they still get standard deduction. So now they get double deduction.
Very good. How about health insurance? Is that pretty much the same?
Well, they did change the persons who are allowed to use it and get the credits against it. It used to be, if you were over 400% of poverty level, you couldn't get the credits anymore. But again, through COVID, they increased that and said, well, you can. So almost anybody at any income level can almost get some credits and not pay full gate. So that's been extended, so it's still here. You know, forms are now out, so people can get those. People who are looking for a refund, if they have this earned income tax credit, if they have child tax credit, if they have these credits, they won't see the refund. I don't care if you file tomorrow, which you can't anyway. You can't file till about January 20th electronically, but they won't see the refund until at least mid-February.
Oh, that was going to be the next one. So as soon as you can get it, right now it doesn't matter.
Not for those people.
Yes.
But again, now I'm looking at you and me. We don't have earned income tax credit. We don't have child tax credit. We could file when they open, and theoretically within 10, 15 days you'd have your refund if you have an overpayment. Electronically. Yep.
Electronically.
And I do advise everybody should go electronic and put in your checking information and get your direct deposit.
That seems to be the easiest way to go.
Well, it's not easy. Not only easy, but
it's the quickest.
Here again, especially if you're in a rural area and have a rural mailbox, some people like to raid the mailbox, and so they steal your check.
You hear a lot of that going on still.
No, well, so if you go electronic, the bank gets it. You have it like 7 to 10 days faster than the mail anyway, and the mail's getting slower every day. So, okay. Yeah, that's the better way to do it. And if you owe money, again, file electronically, because that way they get the check.
Sure, no question.
Because as of about 2 weeks ago, they still have IRS, still has about 8 million pieces of mail unopened, sitting in some truck someplace waiting for them to get around to it. So.
Alrighty, and we're going to get a couple minutes left.
Yep.
I wanted to get on a couple things here. Well, maybe the last one for us taxes goes. You got to start getting your documents together now.
Absolutely.
Got to have them together.
Do it now. They'll be coming out here before W-2s and 1099s need to be in the mail to you by the 31st of January. That's mandatory. Other documents, especially if you have a brokerage account, probably won't come out until March 15th. So, but you can get all the rest of the documents, and we encourage our people to bring all the documents in, even if they don't have that brokerage statement. So we can get started.
Gather everything up.
Then when they get the brokerage statement, we just enter the one last piece.
Kind of put it together as you're going along. Instead of all of a sudden now we've got everything, and now you're way behind.
Everybody has it, and then you're way behind.
Yeah. Tim Oatney and Associates down there on 6th Avenue. The address is?
121 East 6th.
121 East 6th. Nice big building right there.
3 buildings east of Donut World.
Well, that's a good reference point right there. What's the phone number, Tim?
740-687-1192.
And your email?
Oatney. Well, the web address is oatneycpa.com.
Oatney CPA. And we've got about 30 seconds left. Let's give a final plug for the Kiwanis nuts that you're
Kiwanis,
involved in. You've been
well,
selling a lot of nuts this year, and it's
absolutely.
about time.
This is the Kiwanis nuts. We sell these annually. They're $25, 2 pound, 4 ounces. No peanuts.
No peanuts.
No peanuts. All gourmet nuts. They sell themselves. I still have a few, probably 60 cans left right now. Well, by the time this airs, maybe I don't have that many left. So if you want them, you got to grab them.
Yep. Got to still make a good present for 2023.
Absolutely.
Tim, thanks for
Okay.
being with us.
Okay.
We've got till what, April 17th?
18th.
April 18th.
Yep.
Get them back here and we'll make one final pitch to make sure everybody gets on board. Thanks, Tim.
Okay, thank you.
Have a great
All
new
right.
year.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us at Fairfield today.
Interface Video, in cooperation with Fairfield Federal, presents Fairfield Today. Brought to you by Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan, Fairfield Medical Center, Fair Hope Hospice and Palliative Care, the Frankie Smith Funeral Home, Fairfield County Adam H., Dagger Law, and the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities.